When you've spent a few weeks scrolling through cheap gaming laptops that promise high FPS at a fraction of the price, you start to wonder if you're just setting yourself up for disappointment. Those budget machines often lag the moment you open a modern game, and the heat they generate can turn your desk into a sauna. That's why I wanted to take a step back and actually figure out whether the Lenovo Legion 5 Pro 16-inch with an AMD Ryzen 16ACH6H and RTX 3070 feels like a smarter buy, or just another flashy headline. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The first thing I considered was the real-world scenario most buyers face. You're going to be gaming on a couch, maybe spilling a soda, and you still expect the laptop to keep up with the latest releases while not screaming for a power outlet every 10 minutes. The Legion 5 Pro isn't a budget device, but it also isn't the ultra-premium Alienware type you see priced past $3,000. It lands in a sweet spot where the hardware is solid enough for high-resolution gaming, yet it doesn't demand a custom cooling loop in your bedroom. Let's talk about the heart of the machine. The Ryzen 16ACH6H is an 8-core, 16-thread chip that still holds its own against newer 13 series processors when you're running titles like Cyberpunk 2077 or Starfield at 1080p with high settings. In practice, I've seen it consistently push past 7,080 frames per second in those games, and when paired with the RTX 3070 and 8GB GDDR6 card with a 140W TGP, you get a nice balance between raw rasterization and ray tracing. The RTX 3070 isn't the newest 40 series card, but it's powerful enough to handle DLSS 2.0 and occasional DLSS 3.0 in supported games without throttling. For someone who wants a smooth experience without constantly tweaking settings, that combination feels practical. Storage and memory also matter beyond the hype. A 1TB PCIe 3.0x4 NVMe SSD gives you quick load times and enough room for a handful of AAA titles plus a decent media library. The 16GB of DDR4 3200 RAM is adequate for multitasking. I can keep Discord, Chrome, and a game running simultaneously without noticeable stutter. The laptop does not support RAM upgrades beyond 2 SODIMM slots, so if you plan to future-proof it you might want to max out at 32GB now, but for most gamers 16GB will be just fine for the next few years. One of the hidden trade-offs that shows up once you actually open the laptop is the cooling system. Lenovo equipped the Legion 5 Pro with a dual-fan, vapor chamber design that's noticeably louder than a thin Ultrabook, but quieter than air conditioner on full blast. Under heavy loads, think a marathon of Elden Ring, the fans spin up to about 55 dB, which is comparable to a normal conversation. It's not silent, but the laptop maintains temperatures around the low 80°C range, keeping the CPU and GPU from throttling. If you're a night owl who prefers a whisper-quiet setup, this isn't the perfect answer, but for a gaming-focused build the audible noise is a reasonable price for stable performance. Battery life is another reality check. With a 80 Wh battery, you'll get roughly 23 hours of casual gaming before needing to plug in. That's not an all-day number, but it aligns with what most gamers expect from a high-performance machine. The good news is the laptop can sustain a decent battery life when you switch to less demanding tasks. Browsing, streaming, or video editing will stretch it closer to 5 hours. If you're planning on gaming on the go without an outlet, you may want to keep a power bank handy or accept the need to tether to an outlet whenever you sit down for a serious session. Now, who should actually consider this machine? If you're a serious PC gamer who wants a portable device that can double as a productivity workstation, the Legion 5 Pro hits the mark. It's ideal for someone who plays a lot of AAA titles, values high frame rates, and doesn't mind a modest amount of fan noise. The 16-inch 25601440 display, which I'll talk about in a moment, is sharp enough for competitive shooters, and the color accuracy works for photo editing or streaming. Students or professionals who need a blend of performance and a larger screen for content creation will also find the machine useful. On the flip side, if your primary use is casual gaming or you're looking for a fine and light notebook to carry around campus, the Legion 5 Pro might be overkill. Its chassis is thicker and heavier than a typical Ultrabook, so it doesn't fit snugly in a small backpack. Additionally, if you're hunting for the absolute latest ray tracing experience with minimal settings adjustments, you may eventually outgrow the RTX 3070 once newer GPUs become the norm. For those users, a more modest laptop or even a desktop tower could be a better investment. The display on this model deserves its own paragraph. The 16-inch panel with a 165 Hz refresh rate and 100% sRGB coverage is one of the strongest selling points. In practice, the higher refresh rate translates to buttery smooth motion in fast-paced shooters like Valorant or Call of Duty. The color accuracy is good enough.